It's the Bible Club. Welcome back. We are going to talk about the Urim and Thummim. Don't remember the Urim and Thummim? Oh, you're going to. You see, luckily, there is a very in-depth explanation of what these are. Exodus 28:30. Let's take a look. And thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment, the breastplate of judgment, the Urim and the Thummim. And they shall be upon Aaron's heart when he goeth in before the Lord, and Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel upon his heart before the Lord continually. Great. Any questions? Yeah, there's a lot. That's as much information as they decide to give you. Why? Probably because people reading the Bible were already familiar with the Urim and with the Thummim. But those people, we are not. So let's take a look. Scholarly interpretation is that the Urim and Thummim, the Urim and Thummim were used to directly answer questions of the Lord. Now, why do they say this? The Urim and Thummim pop up later in the Bible. Let's look at Numbers 27:21. And he shall stand before Eleazar the priest, who shall ask counsel for him after the judgment of Urim before the Lord. 1 Samuel 14:41. Then Saul prayed to the Lord, the God of Israel, why have you not answered your servant today? If the fault is in me or my son Jonathan, respond with Urim. But if the men of Israel are at fault, respond with Thummim. So in this light, Urim would mean guilty, and Thummim appears to mean innocent. But what do the words actually mean? From the Greek, we have delosis kai aletheia, meaning revelation and truth, also rendered as photismoi kai teleoses, the shining ones and perfections, and lastly, teleotes kai didake, perfection and instruction. So we're getting the idea of something shiny and something that teaches or is perfect, kind of vague. St. Jerome of Stridon translated this in the late 4th century in Latin as perfectio et doctrina, perfection and instruction. The Vulgate sometimes renders this as perfectio et veritas, the truth. But the etymological roots of the word point to many different meanings, including light, sunrise, morning, beginning, east, from the root orim, and completion, sunset, evening, end, west. Possible meanings from the root tam or tum, derived from thamam, to become perfect. Unfortunately, all of these must be at least considered. The evidence just doesn't exist to let us make a decision either way. Reading from The Oracle of Yahweh, the Urim and Thummim, the Ephod, and the Breastplate of Judgment, an article written by Paul Karras, a German-American author, philosopher, religious scholar. The relationship between the Urim and Thummim and the Breastplate of Judgment are discussed. The theory that the breastplate was a pouch rests wholly and solely on this one passage in Exodus 28:30, which in our authorized version is rendered, and thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and Thummim. But we must bear in mind that the original is not so unequivocal as the English. The preposition el is much less definite than our in or into, and may as well mean behind or below or underneath. In fact, the text suggests the latter, and I should propose to translate it by under in preference to the in the sense of into, suggesting that the Urim and Thummim should be between two things, under the breastplate and above the heart. We translate as follows: Thou shalt put under the breastplate of judgment the Urim and Thummim, and they shall be above the heart of Aaron when he comes before, literally to the face of, Yahweh. The breastplate of judgment is an emblem of authority, and its entire significance lies in the symbols shown on its surface. It is a tablet of deep mystical meaning, and for that reason, it should cover the Urim and Thummim kept in the ephod. It sanctifies them and displays in a duodecimal arrangement of gems the secret of their efficiency as a divine oracle. This article was published in 1907 in The Monist, a peer-reviewed academic journal published by the Oxford University Press. As we continue, Paul Karras begins to investigate similar tablets of deep mystical meaning in other ancient civilizations to try to unmask the meaning of the breastplate of judgment and the Urim and Thummim. First, we have the Babylonian tablets of destiny. That sounds cool. So, as the story goes, the chaos monster Tiamat gives the tablets to her chosen warrior Kingu to fight against the other gods. Quote, she gave him the destiny tablets, placed them upon his breast. Thy decision be valid, firm shall stand the behests of thy mouth. Not so firm, he is defeated by the ruler of the gods, Marduk, who takes the tablets and wears them over his chest at the assembly of the gods. I like that. It's a pretty baller move. Next, we go deeper into early Babylonian mythology with Enmedaranki's tablet of the mysteries of heaven and earth, coming from Enme, meaning the high priest, and Duranki, of the place where heaven and earth meet, or the high priest of the earth and heaven secret. Ooh. Quote, sacrifices he offered, and he made them abundant. The sage, the initiated one, he who is in possession of the mysteries of the great gods, makes his son swear upon the tablet before Shamash and Raman, Adad. Okay, I assume they're gods of some kind. He who is conversant with the oil, who is also of ancient family, is a descendant of Enmedaranki, the king of Shipar, who puts up the holy tablet of spells and lifts the staff of cedar, of pure origin, himself perfect in stature and all measures of his body. And the Greek translation of Shipar is Pantabiblia, which can translate into English as Book of the All, a book of knowledge, of laws, passed down from on high, perhaps? And I'm sure you took notice of the abundant sacrifices, the oil, the holy tablet, and a staff of cedar. All interesting inclusions. Continuing, the Chinese system of divination. In Chinese mythology, Fuxi is a mythological, original, human, divine being, creature, who created mankind with his sister wife, Nua. Sister wife. Okay, familiar territory. Fuxi taught humans language, music, and cooking. Yeah, this is the first ancient deity I think I'd hang with. He also taught humanity about yin and yang. Yin and yang are two opposite forces whose reactions and mixture, in effect, make up everything, including the secrets of the universe. Similar to the Babylonian idea, quote, that all sciences and all possible knowledge had been revealed in the beginning. Drawing two short lines represents yin, and one solid line means yang. Grouping together these lines in arrangements of 3 or 6 can help answer any question through use of the I Ching, the Chinese book of divination. Composer John Cage actually used the I Ching in order to make musical compositions that were completely devoid of his own intention. You can check that out. The reason this works is because there's yin and yang in everything. Yin represents feminine energy and is colored black, while yang represents masculine energy and is colored white. Yin represents shadow and the earth. Yang, light and heaven. To put it another way, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Perhaps this is the meaning of the Urim and the Thummim. Karras goes on to speculate that the Urim and Thummim could have been 2 stones, one colored white and the other black, and that the 12 zodiac signs correspond to a sacred magical number 12, diluted by the nationalistic rendering of the 12 gemstones on the breastplate of judgment as only corresponding to the tribes of Israel. Reading more about him, I discovered that his life's work was reconciling science and religion, considering himself, quote, an atheist who loves God, from one non-believer to the other. Respect. Others disagreed with his ideas and is focused on Eastern philosophy, making him sound like a jack-of-all-trades, master-of-none kind of scholar, which I don't think I believe that he was. He strikes me as a very well-read, very informed man, excited to make connections as any student of comparative religion would. And he had the philological background to argue his points very convincingly, if not with some reasonable authority. He's not just some guy off the street, in other words. But, on the other hand, more ideas about exactly what the never described in detail Urim and Thummim are suggest that they would glow when a question was answered, or the truth was revealed. Or even further, that they would glow through the 12 stones on the breastplate of judgment, also corresponding to the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet somehow, and would actually spell out messages and answers. Yeah, that's probably it. Good work, team. Side note, if comparative religion interests you, I'll take a moment to recommend Joseph Campbell's The Masks of God. Any Star Wars fan knows how his book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces, influenced George Lucas. The Masks of God has a section on Occidental mythology, in which he says, quote, the moving legend of the crucified and risen Christ was fit to bring a new warmth, immediacy, and humanity to the old motifs of the beloved Tammuz, Adonis, and Osiris cycles. As with many other things, I'm not the first non-believer, and I've got a lot to look up to. I'll end this intro with the closing words of Paul Karras' article. Not only all divination of primitive man is based upon cosmic considerations, but the ancient plays and games are also derived from the same source. Originally, the games of children are acts of divination, in which they try how they will fare in life. In their origin, games are not mere pastime, but either practicing or imitating religious ceremonies. An investigation into the nature of old games that have been handed down to us from prehistoric ages will most likely prove all of them to be schemes that symbolically represent the universe, in which the player tries his luck and consults fate as to the outcome either of a definite enterprise or of his life in general. We're all just kids playing the same games, gambling on the same unknowable circumstances, hoping to carve out a better destiny for ourselves, hoping we have a little say in what happens next. If games be the food of destiny, play on. If the Non-Believer Bible Club be the food of whatever it feels like you're doing right now, joineth me. Some shit is about to go down with Moses and the Israelites. Here we go. Chapter 32, The Golden Calf. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron, and said unto him, Up, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, come on, this is the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt. We wot not what has become of him. Which is exactly what I was going to say. The guy who got you out of Egypt. Now he's this Moses character. Jeez, the disrespect. And Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them unto me. And all the people brake off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. Aaron, bro, literally brother of Moses. No, Aaron has something to do with this? And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graving tool, after he had made it a molten calf. You bastard. And they said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made proclamation and said, Tomorrow is a feast to the Lord. And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings, and the people sat down to eat and to drink and rose up to play. Next section, God is angered. Yeah. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go, get thee down, for thy people, which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt, I know, have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf, and have worshipped it, and have sacrificed thereunto, and said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Stiff-necked. Now therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I will make of thee a great nation. Without these fools. And Moses besought the Lord his God, and said, Lord, why doth thy wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out of the land of Egypt with great power, and with a mighty hand? Wherefore should the Egyptians speak, and say, For mischief did he bring them out, to slay them in the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from thy fierce wrath, and repent of this evil against thy people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou swarest by thine own self, and saidst unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of will I give unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. And the Lord repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people. Holy shit. So what we have here is Abraham all over again being like, hey, God, what if there's like 50 good people in Sodom and Gomorrah? Will you destroy it then? And he's like, no. I was going to destroy all of them, but no, if there's 50, then, maybe I won't destroy it. And he's like, okay, well, what about 40? What about 30? And it turns out there's only like 3. Like all right people. But now, Moses has spoken, although the people of Israel definitely fucked up. Moses was able to talk to God, who has apparently created everything, who has created us. And he said, hey, give him another shot. I'm not sure if this has happened before. And the Lord repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people. That is so interesting. So much for a guy who can't speak, is slow of mind and slow of tongue. He just stopped God with words. I mean, I'm sure one interpretation is like, yeah, maybe he was testing him. I don't know. All I know is that Moses doubts himself a lot, and he just saved his people. Good on you, Moses. I just have one side note. I was talking about the Urim and Thummim with a friend of mine, and he said, the Uma Thurman. And I kicked myself in the ass because I can't believe I didn't think of that. Bastard, that's so good. Don't worry, we're getting you on the podcast soon. Okay, continuing on. The last time that God repented was probably the flood, but he already killed everybody. And he's like, I feel sorry about that. So this is the first time we've seen him repent for something without having to do it first. How interesting. Okay, verse 15. And Moses turned and went down from the mount, and the 2 tables of the testimony were in his hand. The tables were written on page turn. Written on both their sides. On the one side and on the other they were written. I like how he just turns away from God. He's like, okay, let me talk to them. And the tables were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God, graven upon the tables, carved, like engraved. And when Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said unto Moses, there is a noise of war in the camp. Yeah, them's fighting noises. And he said, it is not the voice of them that shout for mastery, neither is it the voice of them that cry for being overcome, but the noise of them that sing do I hear. And it came to pass, as soon as he came nigh unto the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing. And Moses' anger waxed hot, and he cast the tables out of his hands, and brake them beneath the mount. And he took the calf which they had made, and burnt it in the fire, and ground it to powder, and strawed it upon the water, and made the children of Israel drink of it. Whoa. Yeah, this is a little more mature. It's a little more mature and intense than the layman's understanding of what happens. And Moses said unto Aaron, What did this people unto thee, that thou hast brought so great a sin upon them? And Aaron said, Let not the anger of my Lord wax hot. Thou knowest the people, that they are set on mischief. Yeah, that's why he had them judge each other, and all these complex systems of people judging each other and resolving things. He left you in charge. For they said unto me, Make us gods, which shall go before us. Oh, I read that as make us gods. I mean, same difference. For this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we want not what is become of him. And I said unto them, Whosoever hath any gold, let them break it off. So they gave it me. Then I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf. One thing led to another. Shit was crazy. And when Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies. Then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, Who is on the Lord's side? Let him come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves unto him. And he said unto them, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, Put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moses. Whoa. And there fell of the people that day about 3,000 men. That's fucking nuts. If you remember the original Levi going with his brothers to kill the sons of Shechem, that guy, because he had violated sexually their sister Dinah. Now, also, if you remember, his father Israel was very upset about that. And now Levi, the sons of Levi, of the tribe of Levi, are killing their own. Genesis 9:5. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. At the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. Wild stuff. Verse 29. For Moses had said, Consecrate yourselves today to the Lord, even every man upon his son and upon his brother, that he may bestow upon you a blessing this day. And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses said unto the people, Ye have sinned a great sin. And now I will go up unto the Lord. Peradventure I shall make an atonement for your sin. And Moses returned unto the Lord, and said, O, this people have sinned a great sin, and have made them gods of gold. Yet now, if thou wilt forgive their sin, and if not, blot me, I pray thee, out of thy book which thou hast written. Whoa. Dude, Moses is really finding his noblest self right now. And the Lord said unto Moses, Whosoever hath sinned against me, him will I blot out of my book. Therefore now go, lead the people unto the place of which I have spoken unto thee. Behold, mine angel shall go before thee. Nevertheless, in the day when I visit, I will visit their sin upon them. And the Lord plagued the people because they made the calf, which Aaron made. Man, he's the high priest. That's like when it's like a few other people, but when the high priest makes a new god out of gold, man, what can you do? Chapter 33. The Lord refuses to go with the people. And the Lord said unto Moses, Depart and go up hence, thou and the people which thou hast brought up out of the land of Egypt, unto the land which I swear unto Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, saying, Unto thy seed will I give it. And I will send an angel before thee, and I will drive out the Canaanite, the Amorite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. For I will not go up in the midst of thee, for thou art a stiff-necked people, lest I consume thee in the way. And when the people heard these evil tidings, they mourned, and no man did put on him his ornaments. For the Lord had said unto Moses, Say unto the children of Israel, Ye are a stiff-necked people. I will come up into the midst of thee in a moment, and consume thee. Therefore, now put off thy ornaments from thee, that I may know what to do unto thee. And the children of Israel stripped themselves of their ornaments by the mount Horeb. And Moses took the tabernacle, and pitched it without the camp, afar off from the camp, and called it the tabernacle of the congregation. And it came to pass that every one which sought the Lord went out unto the tabernacle of the congregation, which was without the camp. And it came to pass, when Moses went out unto the tabernacle, that all the people rose up, and stood every man at his tent door, and looked after Moses until he was gone into the tabernacle. And it came to pass, as Moses entered into the tabernacle, the cloudy pillar descended, and stood at the door of the tabernacle, and the Lord talked with Moses. A cloudy pillar, huh? And all the people saw the cloudy pillar stand at the tabernacle door. And all the people rose up and worshipped, every man in his tent door. And the Lord spake unto Moses face to face, as a man speaketh unto his friend. That's nice. And he turned again into the camp, but his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, departed not out of the tabernacle. And Moses said unto the Lord, See, thou sayest unto me, Bring up this people, and thou hast not let me know whom thou wilt send with me. Yet thou hast said, I know thee by name, and thou hast also found grace in my sight. Now therefore, I pray thee, if I have found grace in thy sight, shew me now thy way, that I may know thee, that I may find grace in thy sight, and consider that this nation is thy people. And he said, My presence shall go with thee, and I will give thee rest. And he said unto him, If thy presence go not with me, carry us not up hence. For wherein shall it be known here that I and thy people have found grace in thy sight? Is it not in that thou goest with us? So shall we be separated, I and thy people, from all the people that are upon the face of the earth. And the Lord said unto Moses, I will do this thing also that thou hast spoken, for thou hast found grace in my sight, and I know thee by name. And he said, I beseech thee, shew me thy glory. And he said, I will make all my goodness pass before thee, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord before thee, and will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and will shew mercy on whom I will shew mercy. Whoa, he's going to let him in on the goods, huh? And he said, Thou canst not see my face, for there shall no man see me and live. It's too much, the face of God. And the Lord said, Behold, there is a place by me, and thou shalt stand upon a rock. I thought he was going to say, you can look at this place like right next to me, but don't look at me. And it shall come to pass, while my glory passeth by, that I will put thee in a cleft of the rock, and will cover thee with my hand while I pass by. And I will take away mine hand, and thou shalt see my back parts, but my face shall not be seen. Wow. That's an evocative image. So, okay, let's not get too sacrilegious, but God is going to have him wait by a rock, walk near him, put his hand over his eyes, but then as he passes, he'll let him look at his ass. Okay. All right. Sure. I'm into it. Chapter 34. And the Lord said unto Moses, Hew thee 2 tables of stone like unto the first, and I will write upon these tables the words that were in the first tables, which thou breakest. And be ready in the morning, and come up in the morning unto Mount Sinai, and present thyself there to me in the top of the mount. And no man shall come up with thee, neither let any man be seen throughout all the mount, neither let the flocks nor herds feed before that mount. And he hewed 2 tables of stone, like unto the first. And Moses rose up early in the morning, and went up unto Mount Sinai, as the Lord had commanded him, and took in his hand the 2 tables of stone. And the Lord descended in the cloud, and stood with him there, and proclaimed the name of the Lord. And the Lord passed by before him, and proclaimed, the Lord God, merciful and gracious, long-suffering, and abundant in goodness and truth. I like that. Long-suffering. You don't think of God as suffering. But if he loves us, he must suffer, right? Keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, and that will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, and upon the children's children, unto the 3rd and to the 4th generation. And Moses made haste, and bowed his head toward the earth, and worshipped. And he said, If now I have found grace in thy sight, O Lord, let my Lord, I pray thee, go among us. For it is a stiff-necked people, and pardon our iniquity and our sin, and take us for thine inheritance. I looked up stiff-necked, by the way. Apparently that's a reference to the horse, which stiffens its neck against the reins and will not be led. Makes sense. And he said, Behold, I make a covenant. Before all thy people I will do marvels such as have not been done in all the earth, nor in any nation, and all the people among which thou art shall see the work of the Lord, for it is a terrible thing that I will do with thee. Whoa. Observe thou that which I command thee this day. Behold, I drive out before thee the Amorite, and the Canaanite, and the Hittite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Take heed to thyself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, whither thou goest, lest it be for a snare in the midst of thee. But ye shall destroy their altars, break their images, and cut down their groves. For thou shalt worship no other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. Whose name is jealous? I haven't heard that one before. Page turn. Lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land, and they go a-whoring. They go a-whoring after their gods, and do sacrifice unto their gods, and one call thee, and thou eat of his sacrifice, and thou take of their daughters unto thy sons, and their daughters go a-whoring after their gods, and make thy sons go a-whoring after their gods. He's just worried he's going to get another Esau. Thou shalt make thee no molten gods. I didn't think I would have to say this. Sorry. The feast of unleavened bread shalt thou keep. 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, as I commanded thee, in the time of the month Abib. For in the month Abib thou camest out from Egypt. All that openeth the matrix is mine. And every firstling among thy cattle, whether ox or sheep, that is male. But the firstling of an ass thou shalt redeem with a lamb. And if thou redeem him not, then shalt thou break his neck. If you refuse to make an offering, then you lose the ass. So that's the compromise. You can sacrifice a lamb instead of your pack animal because it's a useful animal. But if you don't want to do anything, then kill the ass because you don't deserve it. You're being stingy. All the firstborn of thy sons thou shalt redeem, and none shall appear before me empty. 6 days thou shalt work, but on the 7th day thou shalt rest. In earing time and in harvest thou shalt rest. And thou shalt observe the feast of weeks, of the firstfruits of wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end. Thrice in the year shall all your men's children appear before the Lord God, the God of Israel. For I will cast out the nations before thee, and enlarge thy borders. Neither shall any man desire thy land, when thou shalt go up to appear before the Lord thy God thrice in the year. Thou shalt not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leaven, neither shall the sacrifice of the feast of the Passover be left unto the morning. The first of the firstfruits of thy land thou shalt bring unto the house of the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not seethe a kid in his mother's milk. And so a kid that's a goat. And the Lord said unto Moses, Write thou these words, for after the tenor of these words I have made a covenant with thee and with Israel. They messed up, now they're getting all the rules all over again. And he was there with the Lord 40 days and 40 nights. Again, Moses must be sweating it. Like, please don't make another golden god. Please. He did neither eat bread nor drink water. Oh. And he wrote upon the tables the words of the covenant, the 10 commandments. So this is this was part of that instance that I was talking about with people thinking about the psychedelic Moses eating mushrooms and tripping and then seeing God. But you could just as easily hallucinate if you're fasting. So maybe not to that extent. I haven't tried it yet. That's where this podcast is ending up. I'll just go on a fast. I'll go on a big cleanse and see if I can see God. I said that as a joke, but that's kind of a cool idea. Okay, moving on. And it came to pass when Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tables of testimony in Moses' hand, when he came down from the mount, that Moses wist not that the skin of his face shone while he talked with him. And when Aaron and all the children of Israel saw Moses, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come nigh him. I remember talking about this passage earlier as well in a previous episode. And Moses called unto them, and Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned unto him. And Moses talked with them. And afterward, all the children of Israel came nigh, and he gave them in commandment all that the Lord had spoken with him in Mount Sinai. And till Moses had done speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. Wow, his face was shining that much. He was that close to the Lord. But why this time and not the last time? I wonder. But when Moses went in before the Lord to speak with him, he took the veil off until he came out. And he came out and spake unto the children of Israel that which he was commanded. And the children of Israel saw the face of Moses, that the skin of Moses' face shone. And Moses put the veil upon his face again, until he went in to speak with him. And here we will end our reading for today. Fascinating reading. I was thinking about Moses taking the tabernacle and then setting it up outside of the outside of the camp, outside of the community where everybody is. It's like a relationship. The people messed up, and now they need a little bit of space to think about what they've done. I understand that this is a very serious religion, and it's very influential to a lot of people's lives. It means so much, but at the same time, like, this is such a wonderful comedy, and it's the same thing every time, but the comedy comes from the fact that the stakes keep getting higher and higher and higher. It's like, okay, just one people out in the desert before they can have a country. And God's talking a really big game. He's like, I'm about to wipe out a lot of people. It's going to be terrible, so terrible for you to witness my might as I as I clear the slate so you guys have an actual country to live in. And you guys are fucking up. Like nothing will stop them from sinning. It's so funny. It's funny because I feel like this is absolutely human nature. We mess up again and again and again and again. And then I'm sorry, that's the last time I'm going to mess up. And then they mess up again. It's ludicrous. But how else are you going to get a religion for a kind of people like us that keep messing up? There's got to be second chances. There's got to be second chances. And not just 2 tablets of 10 commandments, but 2 sets, because Moses broke the first one. It is interesting to contemplate Christianity coming from this, because the theme, which has been always present and ever clear, continuously arises. We remember this with the story of Israel when he was Jacob. Jacob, you messed up. But now your name is Israel. The only way that we can continue to live is if we believe that there's a way back from all of our mistakes. And that's something that both Judaism and Christianity, at a very basic level, are emblematic of. What will they do with this second chance? Find out next week on the Non-Believer Bible Club. Thank you for joining me, and have a pleasant, good night. Adios.